Okay. Garrett, ready whenever you are.
Is it going?
It is.
Alright. Hello, I'm Garrett Mize, and today on May 16th of 2012, I'm in Kingwood, Texas, here interviewing Mr.
Egberto Willies.
Egberto Willies. And he is the president of the Kingwood Area Democrats and author of the book, As I See It, Class Warfare, the only resort to right-wing doom. So let's jump straight into things.
Okay, let's jump straight into things.
So there's a spark that starts every fire, as the saying goes. What do you believe started the fire of the Occupy movement?
I'm going to tell you what is interesting. I am not really sure what started the spark or what took so long for the spark to get started, but I'm so happy that it did it. When we had the Tea Party movement start, that started, you know, all the issues, most of the right-wing issues, I always wondered where was real America to actually combat what they were saying. Well, interesting enough, those guys in New York started it all off. They really got fed up with Wall Street, and that really was sort of a catalyst to say, hey, how can these guys have been bailed out? We helped them, America middle class helped these guys, and somehow we can't get ahead. Somehow they are not willing to do their part for the economy. And when they got together, we actually saw that, wow, the grassroots is finally woken up.
Alright, so on the we're learning about in school, the economic spectrum.
Right.
So, are you familiar with this?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So, free enterprise to then socialist in the middle and
Right.
communist to the right.
Right.
So where do you think the occupiers would like to see this movement?
Okay, first of all, the Occupy movement is a loose conglomeration of people that have different ideologies. We go as far as having the anarchists to the socialists, okay? And then we have everything in between. The one thing that I can tell you that the Occupy does not represent is people being a fascist or corporatist state, pretty much what we have right now. So I would look at the core. We have a little movement here in Kingwood that we call the Sustainable Occupy. We are all real capitalists, but we believe that, I better correct that. Most of us are capitalists, some are more socially conscious, but we believe that we should have a system that has a strong social safety net at the same time that we have free enterprise. You mentioned my book earlier. There's a whole lot that I cover in the book with respect to how you should really put together how I think an economy best works, which is strong government, strong corporation, but always biased towards the individual, which means you as an individual, your rights supersedes the right of the collective government and the right of the corporation. And until we get there, you know, I think you're going to see these types of movements springing up.
So the occupiers want to freeze foreclosures and student debt.
Yeah.
Where do they expect to get the money for this? It's obviously a large amount.
What is money, and who creates it?
Money's like a currency.
Yeah, money is currency, but the reality is, my personal belief is we should simply federalize the banking system. And the reason why we should federalize the banking system is then we could go into all the mortgages that are owed and make it something that everybody can pay for. You live in Kingwood, right?
Yes.
If you have 10 people that are foreclosed around you, you have just lost value in your property. So it is there are a lot of people who would say things like, well, you know, we paid our bills. Why don't those other people that aren't paying their mortgage? Look, I've never missed a mortgage payment in my life. But why am I supporting those people in my neighborhood who possibly missed theirs? Because if we stop thinking about individuals and think about what's best for the country, we'll realize that sometimes maybe the person who made that mistake and got that bad mortgage that they deserve actually getting that mortgage, not paid for, but helped with some other thing. Now, as far as where the money is going to come from, we don't have a money shortage. We don't have a wealth shortage. America is the richest country in the world. I'm from Central America. I know what poverty is. This is the richest country in the world, and there is the money if we really want to get to it.
All right. So the occupiers have been not so peaceful protesters at times. Well, what are your thoughts about that?
A lot of that is infiltration. Okay, let me give an example. We have an Occupy movement here in Kingwood. All right? There are forces here in Kingwood that pretty much don't like that. And what would they do? They will bring somebody to instigate some sort of chaos. Same happened in New York. They make you believe that if there's any incident of chaos, they blow it up. Middle class America gets word about the country getting into some sort of a riot situation. No, that's not the case. Most occupiers are like anybody else that's around you, just people that think they want something done. If you look at what we do here with the Kingwood Occupy, we have doctors, lawyers, teachers, housewives, engineers, business owners. I'm a business owner. I am there. The reality is, a lot of the things that I'm fighting for is not really for me. It's for those people that really need help. I understand that unless the wealth in America is fairly distributed, and when I say fairly distributed out, I don't mean we take money from the rich and give it to the poor, but we give everybody in America access. You should have access to be able to be wealthy if you want to. Right now, I can tell you that most Americans don't have access to that. They don't have access to success.
All right, so I have a list
Sure.
of the occupiers' demands.
Right.
And is there anyone that you want me to directly
Well, I
point
mean,
out?
here's the issue. Remember I said that the Occupy movement is a loose conglomerate of people? This one is probably the one that you got out of New York.
This is from their website.
From their yeah.
99%.
Yeah, there are several issues now. The 99% movement is not Occupy Wall Street. Okay? Occupy Wall Street and the 99%, while they share common values, Occupy Wall Street tends to be a bit more decentralized than the 99%. I pretty much like where the 99% is going, in that they're actually establishing some sort of a cohesion. They're trying to establish organization, and they're trying to get into actual politics. So if you take a look at your list, I can actually address your list individually. End corporate control of politicians. Excellent. We need to get rid of Citizens United. You ever heard of Citizens United?
No.
Citizens United is the law that was is a law that was upheld by the Supreme Court that allows corporations to give to businesses, to politicians in an unlimited fashion, which means I can now purchase any one of my elected officials. And when I say purchase it, that's what they're doing. This is going to be the nastiest election, because you're going to see a lot of monies that come in from third parties to solve that. A constitutional amendment overturned in Citizens United. That's what we're talking about. Now I'm actually on the chair, the chair group of a group called Move to Amend. What we're trying to do is get an actual amendment to the Constitution that will remove the ability for three things: for us to actually call money speech money. We want to get that codified in the Constitution that says that's not where we want to be. Secondly, we want to ensure that you cannot fund elections privately. In other words, we don't want Exxon to be able to give monies to corporations, A, B, C. We also don't want nonprofits to do that, because it means that nonprofits can spring up from anywhere and donate to politicians and buy them anyway. So yes, I'm completely in favor of a constitutional amendment to overturn that. Uniform and transparent election reform. This is actually a part of the latter as well. All it really means is that you can actually see there's no backdoor dealings with who's on the ballot and that sort of a thing. Eliminating corporate tax evasion and loopholes. That is huge. Right now, corporations have incentives to, you ever heard the word outsourcing of jobs? Yeah. Through a lot of tax loopholes, the government has actually sanctioned the elimination of jobs in the United States because many of the politicians that are purchased give tax advantages to corporations to do these types of things. Healthcare reform. This is my top issue. I have a wife that has lupus, and what it means is that you have a very hard time getting health insurance, and the healthcare system that we have right now simply doesn't work. Why doesn't it work? Because we have an insurance system, a private insurance system that pays 33% of all 33% of all your premiums actually goes into somebody's pocket. Specifically, the president of the company, the CEO of the company, and all these guys and shareholders, they get the money. It doesn't go towards healthcare. In our belief, the only legitimate moral healthcare system is a single-payer healthcare system where one entity pays for healthcare and private companies provide service to heal you. Protection of the planet. I'm a green person. I believe in green energy. We should always have. I believe in windmills and so forth. Currently, the oil companies are one of the biggest hindrance to this, not because they're bad, but they realize that if green energy takes off, they make less money because the demand for oil drops. That means the price of oil falls. That means less profit than they're making. Jobs for all Americans. Look around. Potholes. Look at the bridges that comes over here. I was in Chicago 4 weeks ago. The bridges are falling down. And we have an employment problem. We don't have an employment problem. We have a government problem where jobs that should be done. Student loan, you're going to be going to college pretty soon. You know how we used to pay these bills? We used to pay banks to loan the students money. And if the student defaults on the loan, if the student doesn't pay the loan, the government still pays that. But guess who got all the interest? The banks. So the banks were middlemen who took no risk, did nothing, but actually made all the profits. But the profits, you know what that was? We as taxpayers, we paid the money to the bank, which means it was a transfer of wealth from middle class America to the banks. Ending of perpetual war of profit. You know what that really means? Iraq, Afghanistan, Panama, Israel, and all the places that we have the military. Sole purpose is to keep what we have known as a military-industrial complex. If we're in a perpetual state of war, we have people constantly building bullets, guns, and all of that. For what? Blow things up? Isn't it better to just love everybody? I mean, that's just what I put in. Protect civil rights. Well, you see who I am. You know I want civil rights. Your mother wants civil rights. You know why? Because there was a time where what civil rights really meant, when the Constitution was signed, the only people in this country that had any rights were white men, you. Nobody else. Women had no rights, Indians had no rights, Chinese had no rights. The country only works if everybody in the country is equal. And not only does it work better, it actually feels better. No internet censorship. You know what the NDAA is, right? Right, okay. Well, I am completely and entirely against that. We need to have an open internet. Right now, the media is controlled by corporations. And because it's controlled by a corporation, the news that you get is corporation-centric news. The only way to combat that is if you have a free internet. You have a free internet, you have Facebook, right? You also have all these other Pinterest and all these other good things. Guess what that means? That means that you are now the media. You can take this video and you can turn this video into an educational piece for millions of people because you have your own set of following. You are the media. Freezing of all home foreclosures. We spoke about that already. Yes, we should free all home foreclosures. That should go. Reforming the Federal Reserve Bank. There's no need for the Federal Reserve Bank. But this would be a hard one to crack. But we need what backs our money? The faith of the American people is the backing of our money. That's all we need. We don't need a whole bunch of private banks, which is what the Federal Reserve is, that controls our money supply, which actually says, guess what? There are these 12 districts that control who America is, and they are the gods of America. No, we don't need that. Economic justice for all. I have a little blog site called Just That Economic Justice for All. And this goes into the point that says every American has the right. Every American has the right to have equal access to be successful, to be employed, to be educated. That falls into all of that. Imprisonment of financial criminals. Well, that is the genesis of Wall Street reform. I mean, of Occupy Wall Street. When all these guys, even under the Obama administration, not one of these guys got arrested. Something that is probably one of the most shameful outcomes of, of this situation right now.
So,
Yes.
is there anything you would like to say to my history class?
Yes, I'd like to say something great. I'm so happy that young people like yourself are getting involved, because here's an interesting thing, and I tell this to a lot of people that I talk to. My generation has failed your generation. Okay? We overspent. We overspent. We were greedy. We were selfish. All those things are characteristic of my generation. So when you see those politicians on TV arguing about cutting the budget or whatever, the first thing that you're supposed to do is ignore them all. Most of them do not know what they're talking about. And the person that needs to take control are you guys. When you see guys or activists like ourselves really out there, the reason we're out there is we're just a stopgap measure for you. Because you need to come back and take the country. When you hear people like the Tea Party say, oh, take our country.